The story of Harishchandra, the king who stood by the truth in all circumstances, is a powerful episode in Hindu mythology. A play based on the story of this king was being enacted before a small town audience. A young boy was among the people who were watching the drama unfold, showing King Harishchandra suffering and losing his kingdom for refusing to abandon the truth. But no one could have imagined the deep effect the scenes were having on the young boy's mind and heart. I will never swerve from the path of truth and be ever truthful and honest like Harishchandra, thought the boy to himself. This quiet, intensely shy and sensitive boy was called Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Born on October 2nd, 1869 in Porbandar on the Saurashtra coast, he was the youngest son of Karamchand Gandhi, the Diwan or Prime Minister of Porbandar, and his wife Putli Bai. When Mohandas was 7 years old, his family moved east to Rajkot. This was the place where he spent his childhood, although the family retained the link with Porbandar. In Rajkot, little Mohandas avoided all company. He was so anxious to avoid any unnecessary social encounters that he always rushed to school on time and rushed back home as soon as the school bell rang, afraid of talking to anyone on the way. Not only that, he was also afraid of the dark, ghosts, thieves, snakes, and many other things. This excessive timidity once made Rambha, a maid at his home, ask him in exasperation, "Why are you so afraid? What are you afraid of? Remember Rama. He will always protect you. He who remembers God need never be afraid of anything." These words were to have a powerful effect on the timid young boy who began to pray to Rama with all his heart whenever he was afraid. Thus was laid the foundation of a whole life of unshakable faith. As a boy, it was his mother's wholehearted love and strong willpower that was the most enduring example to Mohandas. She lived an austere life and made him move towards mastering his own selfish and lesser impulses. Perhaps it was the abundant love she showered on him that led to his later being able to embrace all of humanity. While from her influence, he imbibed the Jain influences of Gujarat, such as the tenets of non-injury to living beings, vegetarianism, fasting for self-purification, and mutual tolerance between members of various creeds and sects. His marriage at the tender age of 13 to Kasturba taught him the power of silent resistance. Kasturba was quiet and determined, and when Mohandas tried to bend her to his will, he found that she resisted in a non-violent but very resolute fashion. Many years later, Gandhiji recalled in an interview what he had learned from Kasturba. Her determined resistance to my will and her quiet submission to the suffering my stupidity involved ultimately made me ashamed of myself and cured me of thinking that I was born to rule over her, and in the end she became my teacher in non-violence. Mohandas's perception of the truth evolved out of many incidents that are quite common to many young boys and girls. What was distinct about him was his ability to learn an important lesson after each experience. He had a passion to always tell the truth. When the inspector of schools came to visit his school, he dictated a few English words to the boys to test them. Seeing that Mohandas could not spell one of the words correctly, his teacher signaled that he could copy that word from his neighbor's slate. But Mohandas sat stubbornly still. He could not cheat, even under the urging of a teacher. All the students, except him, got all their spellings right. For his refusal to copy, Mohandas got scolded by the teacher after the class. He was deeply hurt, but in the end, satisfied for having done what he knew was right. The more dramatic incidents relating to his awareness of the truth and how to choose right over wrong concern his temporary lapse from the vegetarianism practiced by his family, and one occasion when he stole a piece of gold from his brother's bracelet in order to have money to buy cigarettes for smoking. On both these occasions, Mohandas learned important lessons about the value of truthfulness. With India being under British rule, people speculated in all manners of ways about the source of British power and strength. A friend once told Mohandas, "The British are so strong and can rule over us because they eat meat. How can we fight them if we stay vegetarians? If we become meat eaters like them, we will be able to drive them out." Mohandas was convinced by this statement, but as his family was strictly vegetarian, he had to take up eating meat outside in a clandestine manner. However, when he realized that the meat eating was actually pushing him into a position of lying to his family, he decided never to do it again. Mohandas was more concerned that he should not become morally weak by getting into the habit of lying, even if it was at the cost of becoming physically very strong. Another time, a friend convinced him to try smoking the cigarette butts they both found lying around, and this led to both of them developing a taste for the habit. To buy cigarettes, Mohandas stole money and went into debt. When the debt became too much to bear, he paid it off with a piece of gold stolen from one of the gold bracelets that his brother wore. There was no respite for Mohandas after that. He could not sleep or be at peace, tormented by the thought of his crime. As he analyzed why he had reached such an abject state, he resolved never to steal again. Writing a truthful account of all he had done, he put the piece of paper into the hands of his ailing father. His father read the letter, and instead of an angry punishment, what Mohandas got was a deep sigh from his father, who tore up the paper without saying a word. For the sensitive boy, who had always resolved to be wedded to the truth, this sign of disappointment was more of a punishment than 100 angry words. Mohandas was full of remorse for his actions. He wept aloud and served his sick father in every way he could. The whole experience had only strengthened forever his commitment to the truth. Mahatma Gandhi's greatness did not lie in his never doing wrong. It lay in his learning from each experience of wrong and staying with what was right and good through whatever difficulties he had to endure. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, known across the world as Mahatma Gandhi, is widely acknowledged as the most influential political and spiritual leader of the Indian independence movement. He taught us the power of satyagraha, a means of resistance to unjust laws and practices through mass civil disobedience based on total non-violence. This has inspired movements for civil rights and freedom in many countries since the struggle for Indian independence. Affectionately called Bapu, or Father, in his lifetime, Mahatma Gandhi has officially been accorded the honor of being called the Father of the Nation. The United Nations General Assembly has unanimously declared October 2nd, his birthday, as the International Day of Non-Violence. Gandhiji's childhood and formative years have been described before as experiments with truth and right and wrong that helped him develop a strongly moral and determined character. It was this strong character that led the Indian community's struggle for civil rights in South Africa and the nationwide campaigns for the alleviation of poverty, for the liberation of women, for unity and fellowship among differing religions and communities, for an end to untouchability and caste discrimination, for the economic self-sufficiency of the nation, and above all, for Swaraj, India's freedom from foreign rule. It was Mahatma Gandhi's call to make the British quit India in 1942 that mobilized the entire nation. In his years of struggle, Gandhiji was imprisoned for many years on numerous occasions in both South Africa and India. He was finally felled by an assassin's bullet on January 30th, 1948.